Hi guys. So this video is about how to sell to some really large enterprises. As a background, I sold our product Cogno AI to a lot of large companies, which is let's say State Bank Group, ICICI Group, Kotak Group, HDFC Group, Aditya Birla Group, Bajaj Group. So when I say group, I mean we sold our product to the bank, to mutual fund, to insurance company, to stock broking company, right? So these companies are in financial services, which is a very heavily regulated industry, and so selling software to such companies is very difficult. They have long procedures, they conduct tenders, they conduct RFPs, which is request for proposal, they have to invite three vendors, right? And so the whole process becomes very long, very complex. But the reward is very high because these companies, number one, they give you relatively large size contracts. They have a lot of money to spend. A typical large bank will have easily 1,000, 2,000 crore rupees annual IT spending budget. Secondly, the stickiness is very high. So these companies, because for you to enter it is difficult, which means for someone else to replace you, it's also difficult. Thirdly, there's a huge scope of expansion within the existing customer. So once you onboard yourself as a partner to one of these banks or large financial institutions, you can get a lot of business from within these companies itself. You need not go outside too much. You need not chase and put efforts outside because they are large enough companies. They will keep on coming to you with some or the other requirements. Now let's talk about how did we really sell to some of these large companies, right? First part is around how to generate these leads, how to reach out to that first prospect. So firstly, identify who's the right stakeholder for your product. For us, it is usually the chief technology officer, CTO, chief information officer, CIO, or chief digital officer, CDO. So we reach out to these people. I obviously have the unfair advantage of the IIT Bombay alumni network. So I try to find, so using LinkedIn, I can scan people who are working at these companies and who are alumni of, let's say, IIT Bombay, or my co-founder is from IIT Kanpur. So from IIT Kanpur. So that way there is a sort of soft connect, soft affiliation where they at least know that, okay, the person is from my institute who's reaching out. So they must not be that bad, right? It helps you get foot in the door. It does not get you the sale, of course, because the sale process is lengthy and complex, but it helps you get that first meeting, get that first introduction. If you don't come from an IIT or an IIM or any college which has a lot of alumni network, then you may have to reach out to these people cold using LinkedIn. There's a tool called Easy Leads which we use at Cogno, and using Easy Leads we are able to get contact details, mobile number, email ID, and so we reach out over these channels, over WhatsApp, over email, right? Obviously many people don't like it, and so we don't bother them. If they say that no, I don't want the message, I don't want email, we stop. So assuming you have got a meeting, right? So now there are 7 stakeholders overall, uh, to whom you have to convince, to whom you have to sell to get a deal. Number one, business. Business is the main stakeholder in this whole game because they are the ones who are getting the benefit of your product. They are the ones to whom you are pitching something like, look, my product will help you double your revenues, or it will help you save your costs, or it will help you improve your employee productivity, or it will help you improve the customer experience. So that is the main business team. They are the main sponsor. They are the ones who are getting the direct benefit. Second, IT, which is for any software product, obviously you have to meet with the technology team. Typically, IT does not get too much into what is the business benefit of your product, but they are into what is the architecture of your product, what technologies do you use any open source components, how do you deploy, what is the database server, what is the web server, what is the application server, right? Those kind of aspects. What is the technical architecture? How does your product integrate with the backend systems of the customer, of the institution? So all of these things are the ones which the IT person is interested in understanding. So IT is different from business, which means don't talk AI or machine learning or NLP in front of business, as much as don't talk or don't waste time talking business benefit of your product in front of IT. They only care about their specific area. So no need to mix them. So first is business, second is IT, third is information security. So because let's say the banks with whom we work with, they are largely regulated. They come under RBI, or insurance companies, they come under IRDA, Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority. And stockbroking companies, mutual funds, they all come under SEBI. So these banks have strict information security guidelines, which means, for example, data should not go outside Indian boundaries. Customer data, right? Which means customer phone number if your application is capturing, customer email ID. When I say customer, I mean a customer of a bank, right? Secondly, they have guidelines regarding data breach. So tomorrow, if the PAN numbers of a bank, they are breached, it might lead to a lot of chaos, a lot of problems. So the third component is basically around information security. So you need to convince the chief information security officer or someone from their vertical about the safety, security of your product, that you have gone through certain security certifications, certain audits, right? And that the data will not be breached, and so on and so forth. So generally SOC 2 compliance, ISO compliance, PCI DSS compliance, if your company has gone through such kind of audits and compliances, that is a big green flag for them, because these are reputed compliances and they give the CISO, which is Chief Information Security Officer, a lot of confidence about the safety of your product. So business, IT, InfoSec. Next comes legal. Legal is all about signing an NDA and signing a service agreement. So firstly, I mean, the job of the legal team is to ensure that you do not breach any confidentiality of the company, which means any confidential data you may have, any business plans of the bank, because see, if you pitch to some business person that I will help you increase your revenues or reduce your costs, you have information about them, right? How does their revenue work today? What is the revenue today? What is the cost per customer acquisition? What is the cost to serve the customer? All of this is confidential business information. So the job of the legal team is to ensure that you do not give away this information to the competitors of the bank or to the enterprise of the enterprise, right? So that is a non-disclosure agreement. At the same time, obviously, I would not want as a service provider that the bank gives away my information, which is, let's say, my pricing, my product architecture, my security documents, to a competitor of me. So we sign a mutual non-disclosure agreement. And once you have a contract in place, which means the customer has agreed to work with you, then you also need this service level agreement, which is an SLA, software license agreement, service level agreement, or an MSA, master service agreement. Any of these terms are used. Basically, this agreement is legally enforceable in the court of law. This agreement is the final, I would say, enforceable piece of paper that proves that you have a contract with the customer, that you are a partner of the customer. Everything else, everything in verbal, everything in email communication can be sort of nullified, but a legal contract signed on stamped paper is a valid, legally enforceable document. So business, IT, InfoSec, legal. Next comes compliance. So we work with banks and regulated entities. So we also have to meet their chief compliance officer or someone from their vertical to convince them that we are not breaching any RBI, SEBI or IRDA guideline. So from a data perspective, obviously we told you, I just gave you an example of data not going outside India. Other examples could be, let's say there is a marketing based product or a WhatsApp push message based product. On that, for example, for stockbroking companies, they have a regulatory guideline that they cannot solicit the customer to invest in certain stocks. So today, if let's say I'm Zerodha, I cannot push a marketing message to my customers saying that, why don't you invest in HDFC Bank stock price? It will double over 2 years. That is wrong, unethical, and not allowed. So this has nothing to do with software compliance. This is a non-software compliance. This is a marketing compliance, for example, or a communication compliance. So we need to convince the compliance stakeholder that the product which we have given to your team or the use case which we are implementing for them is in compliance with the guidelines of the regulator. So business, IT, InfoSec, legal, compliance. Next comes procurement. The job of the procurement team is to negotiate the best price from you. So typically they will negotiate with other vendors, other partners. Business will evaluate some 3, 4, 5 partners, business and IT jointly, all of these other teams. They will evaluate some capable partners and they will select, let's say, top 3 partners which have the best set of capabilities which meet the requirements, right? And they will pass on these 3 partners to the procurement team and say, look, here are the 3 partners that I have shortlisted. I am happy with their product and services and I think like they will solve my problem. Why don't you negotiate the best price from all the 3? And whichever is the lowest price, we will onboard them. So with procurement's job is not at all that what is the benefit of your product, how safe it is, what is the architecture. They don't care about any of that because they know that the IT team, the business team, the InfoSec team, they have done the evaluation of your product, of your services, of your company as a whole from these perspectives. Their job is to find out what best price can you offer them so that they get the best deal. From you, from other partners, they will get the quotations and select the ones which is the cheapest. So business, IT, InfoSec, legal, compliance, procurement, and the last one is finance. So finance is all about raising invoices, getting the purchase orders. So to get the money paid. So let's say customer agreed for a contract, you delivered your service, you have done the implementation, and now you need your money from them. For that, you need to raise an invoice to the customer. Now for customer to pay you your invoice, they issue a purchase order. So it's a financial document they issue from their side, in which they will mention that they are buying so and so services from you, and this is the price, and this is the invoicing terms, monthly invoicing, quarterly invoicing, annual invoicing, whatever. Based on that purchase order, they will give a purchase order number, which is mentioned on the purchase order. So you are going to give this PO while submitting the invoice, and based on invoice, customer will pay you. So all of these are the 7 stakeholders which participate in any sort of enterprise sales. As I said, all 7 of them work very independently. All 7 of them, they care only about their specific domain area, their specific vertical. And you have to, when you meet each of them, you have to convince them only on that specific piece. See, some of them might be curious. For example, an IT person might be interested in knowing, okay, fine, tell me briefly about what is your business case. That is just to get a perspective. But then 80% of your conversation should be focused on your architecture, your technology aspects only, and maybe 10, 15, 20% around the business case. So that is that they may ask it just out of curiosity, and you should obviously explain it to them where you are coming from. But overall, remember, pitch the right thing to the right stakeholder to get the enterprise sale done. And this is a proper, well-known, structured process. If you break the rules of this process, if you pitch the security of your product to the business person, or if you pitch the architecture of your product to the compliance person, you will definitely not get the deal. So just pitch the right thing to the right stakeholder and you will do well in enterprise sales. I hope you like this video. This is very, I would say, domain-specific video with me having 5.5 years of experience of selling to some of the really big brand names. Please do share other ideas of videos which you want me to share on this channel, and definitely subscribe to this channel. Thank you.